Hi, Michael home again. This is video 10. I'm not reading any poems in this one. I've not decided what I'm going to say, even yet. And this is the last in this set. It's complete in itself, and relatively non-waffling and that kind of thing. So I think I've talked about like the individual. And not joining groups and finding what you want from within, which is the safest place. It's quite logical, really. So there were certain experiences that put me on this path. I mean, childhood was difficult because I wasn't parented due to my circumstances. So I ended up having to parent myself quite literally at the same time as all my peers were getting on with life. So I crashed very early in life, in so-called adult life. And adults, what do we mean adult? Grown up. It's in my opinion, when we say adult, it means you know yourself. But it always has very different degrees. Some people are so-called adults, they don't really know themselves at all. Without knowing yourself completely, you can't have full confidence. You don't know when someone is going to reveal to you that there's something about you they know better than you know that aspect of yourself. So I was going to say this really, but so having had that sort of bad parenting, I had a lot of occasions in my early 20s and etc. where I was out in the world in jobs, offices, and stuff, and I was extremely vulnerable. People knew all about me, and I was kind of aware. I was quite smart. I had a science degree in that. I was aware. I sort of sensed that. I talked about the jigsaw. The poem, the jigsaw. I wanted to build my jigsaw, which was like my notion of who I was, and people would be trying to put pieces in the jigsaw that didn't fit. Like you are not that person. You are this person, and and it's and it's very stressful, you know, um, because at the most fundamental level, you're trying to work things out whilst people around you are thinking in terms of careers and building social lives and kind of outside aspects, and you've not got the inside sorted out. You might go and join a religion, but then if you join a religion, surely a religion is like it's like a cop out. It's like I don't know who I am, but there's this big group of people who have this model. And if I join that group of people, it's like a safety in numbers. The Catholic Church has 1 billion members. That's like going on for, it's over an eighth of the population of the world. It's over 1 in 8 people are Catholics. So if you just, if you decide I'm a Catholic, it's 1 in 8, like accurate sort of thing in a way. The maths don't quite work like that, I suppose, but it's a complete cop out. I am this, I am that. And my book, which I wrote at the start of the lockdown, so it's like 2 years, beginning of beginning of 2019, it poured out of me. You know, I have this like bipolar disorder, and I get creative, hypermanic, manic type episodes. And when I wrote I Am, a 42-page book, I could barely write the words down on my computer and the word processor as fast as the ideas were coming to my head. And I Am, it was just like the realization that that whatever labels we have outside ourselves, they're never really us. And the worst thing of it sort of links back to the jigsaw and people putting the phony pieces, the false pieces in it. There's the worst thing about having an identity. I am, you know, I am whatever, is that it can be challenged. It's not safe. And if you build your entire house on identities like that, you are very vulnerable. And even when I was in my early 20s, in my most in the most fundamental levels, I'd be like, I might think I was, I might have thought I was like cool, like cool. But then the world says you ain't cool, mate. You're just a computer programmer working in an office. Ditch that idea. And they like more. The cool thing will be more like a teenage thing. But we pick up identities throughout life. And the thing to do, which is what my I Am book says, is to just have no identities. Just I am, with nothing after it. And none of us achieve it, you know. Being proud of an identity is especially dangerous. You know, Jesus Christ had an entire religion built around not being proud and being humble. So the thing is, we will always maintain some identities. As the worst thing I always imagined in life really would have been the experience of Belsen. Belsen concentration camp. It wasn't like Auschwitz, like, gas chambers and stuff like that. It was just a sort of camp full of people treated in ways you wouldn't treat animals, and people wasted away and just dropped dead in the grounds of the camp, and were left there to rot. And people lived in that situation. Now, something like that could generate, I would imagine, I wasn't in Belsen, but I could imagine it could generate the absolute I am nothing. I am nothing. And anyway, so we never, in the democratic West, whatever, we never have no identities. No one's perfect that way. It's a conceptual thing. The whole I am nothing. It's a conceptual thing. But I believe, you see, that when we're all individuals rather than that group, then we've got a better chance to sort of like get on with one another. We see, oh, he's an individual, she's an individual. There's no metric for the individual. The individual just is. He just is. that this just is. It is. And if that's how we all were, how we could all become, I just see it as the absolute logical thing we should all be striving for. But we've still got this, I am in this group, I am in that group, and the groups clash with each other. Religions don't get on with one another, do they? The Muslim group, the Christian group, the Sikh, the Buddhist, whatever. What's the point of it? We don't need these groups. It's on a theoretical level, a world full of individuals, I think, is the utopia. Like all utopias, you never achieve them, but just to go towards it, I think, puts that bit less of a problem in the world. So, yeah. So after my childhood, where I was not parented, I got in with the wrong people very early on, before university, in fact. And I had a very bad experience with Liberty Caps in the UK, Liberty Caps magic mushrooms. So I had about 150, and it was a very terrifying experience indeed. I would guess to be as terrified as that. I would imagine you would only be able to get that kind of level in a war zone, in an active fighting situation in a war zone, maybe even hand-to-hand combat, something like that. But I think that's set up for me. It was like a what do you call it? Like a you know I can't think of like good and bad, a mixed blessing. It was a mixed blessing in a way, because I think it put me on the path of severe mental health problems very early on. Like, I get the impression from my late father that he only experienced anxiety in his very late 80s. It was only then, before he died, that he particularly understood some aspects of me. So I was experiencing um, serious anxiety, panic, paranoia, whatnot, somewhat brought on by what that mushroom experience had, in a sense, trained my brain to be aware of. It planted the seed, so that when stresses came, particularly when I started working at the age of 21 after leaving uni, so it planted the seed, and um, put me on a different course to everybody I'd known at university. And people at my age, they weren't experiencing anxiety like this, and paranoia, and all the rest of it. So it made me think differently to everybody else. Whilst other people were doing careers, I was absolutely concerned with the most fundamental existential things about life. So I end up, like, after many years sorting through the mental health thing, and parenting myself, really, the hard way, I got to, like, my mid-40s. I'd been married for 18 years, wife died. I'd experienced quite a lot, actually, that people don't often experience in the mid-40s. I met Michelle, my current wife, and I so I have a very different view about things, and I'm not materialistic. So, I think, in essence, I think life is is one of self-discovery. I think there's a lot of things out there that take you off your path of self-discovery, and could be the materialistic, whatever, but addictions, drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, whatever. And I'd say that whether it's conscious or not, something out there, maybe the system, whatever, wants to take you off your path, wants to stop you being you. For example, I said I was non-materialistic. Someone like me, I don't keep the retail wheels and other such things turning because I'm satisfied without such things. I learned the piano starting from 21 years of age, and I'm a pretty good pianist now, like college level, and it doesn't cost anything to just sit at a piano and play it, or play a clarinet, or paint a picture, you know. And that's no good for the system. That's no good for the economy. And if people can put you in different groups, whether it's brand loyalties or what the hell, you're more inclined to be manipulated. Groups like keeping the group together. Without the other members of the group, they're not a group, and then their identity starts to collapse. How can I be this thing if I'm the only one? And there's no real path. There's no path to self-discovery. But like I might have said, Susan Jeffers' book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's what I did, really. I did a lot of things, from having a breakdown, 24-ish, 23-ish, 24 years old, having a breakdown, initially diagnosed schizophrenic, current diagnosis today, bipolar 1. But I think what it is, if you just go and do things, and you find, like, I'm clashing, you know, I'm not fitting, I'm clashing, and sometimes you might be because you're in a group of terrible people, but quite often you're clashing because actually, there's something about yourself that's not working somehow, and it makes you think about those things. I certainly had a lot of that, of people saying, "Yo, here's this jigsaw piece," and so you put yourself about, you clash, you think about it, you know, why was that? And I think that molds you in time. It doesn't mold, but shouldn't let you. It shouldn't mold you into, like, just a complete submissive nothing, because you know we're not nothing. We generate a personality, um, and the secret is to make the personality, um, well, it's the balance. I have these three words: balance, respect, and love. So love is important for all of us. There's not many people would not want some love. Respecting one another. That's like when we build our personalities. That's like, I've got my personality. You've got yours. It's not quite. That bugs me about you. And I know I bug you about this. But respect one another and get on with it. But that's where the balance comes. If you get the balance wrong, you're not as likely to get that respect, and at the same time acceptance for the rubbishy bits. And I think that's important, that there's sort of balance. And so don't be trodden down by the world, but don't be totally agreeable. It's like, don't be totally agreeable to so you don't have any clashes at all. Have some clashes, get the balance right. So, and a good way of clashing completely is saying, I'm in this group. That group there is at the absolute antithesis of my group. I hate them. You know what I mean? You see, Chloe has appeared in a couple of the videos. This is my rescue dog, me and Michelle's rescue dog, Chloe. She's she's a lovely dog. My last dog was a rescue dog as well, Angel. See, that was one of the other things I did. I wasn't working. I had no friends, and on my own, I was mid-40s, and I walked dogs for the RSPCA. That was a useful step. I do open mic these days, and um, that came through joining a writing group and being convinced by a lady called Maddie to do open mic. And you just got to do things. The worst thing in life you can do, the absolute worst thing in life you can do, is something like sit playing computer games, sit watching telly, and at the same time smoking drugs, injecting drugs, hanging out with people that think that's okay as well, and dragging you down. Try things, they go wrong, try something else. Feel the fear and do it anyway, like Susan Jeffers said. So have a look at my website. You can get it on www.michaelhome.com, or I like the other one, www.thereallalong.com. And of course, it's called thereallalong.com because people look for it all over everywhere. Is it here? Is it there? And then you realise that I realised, I realised that it's sort of happiness is just within you. And I think it's like when you realize that you are just as valid as anybody else in the world. I wasn't designed to be the CEO of ICI. I wasn't designed to be the boss of Facebook. I was just designed to be me. And that's all anybody ever expected of me ever. It's all I had to be, just me. And then you think, well, what if everybody else thinks like that? Like that all other people had to be was them. And then there's no there's no measure. It's all absolute. You are you. They're themselves. There's no comparison. We're all different, trying to be ourselves. That's what life's about. And realizing that we respect each other. He's being him, she's being herself, I'm being me. That's all any of us can be. And that means we're all as good as one another. We're just absolutely as good as one another. How can it logically be any different from that? Um, and we become kind of content and happy. And there's a word I really like, it's Godspeed. Godspeed means sort of the best to you on your journey. And when I say Godspeed, I'm talking about the journey of you becoming you. And I'm going to end this video. This is Coke, by the way. I'm going to end this video by simply saying to you, Godspeed.